For centuries, Europe struggled. It was a continent adrift. Empires had collapsed, leaving behind only echoes and ruins. Knowledge went silent, locked away in monasteries while the world outside grew smaller, darker. Plagues swept across the land, a shadow that touched every family. Famine followed, a constant, gnawing hunger. The great Roman roads that once connected a continent now led to nowhere, as Europe fractured into 1,000 tiny, isolated pieces. The world seemed to shrink, the light of civilization seemed to dim. And then something extraordinary happened. After a long, dark winter, Europe began to look up. It began to awaken. This reawakening, what we call the Renaissance, didn't just appear overnight, fully formed like a goddess from a myth. It grew from the ashes of crisis, like a new forest after a devastating fire. And it started not in the halls of kings, but in the bustling, competitive city-states of Italy. In places like Florence, a new kind of power was emerging. Wealth, generated by trade and banking, met raw, naked ambition. And this ambition needed a new way to express itself, a new way to claim legitimacy and leave a mark on eternity. It needed patronage. Enter the Medici. On the surface, they were just bankers. But they understood something profound about power. They knew that money, without meaning, is just cold, lifeless metal. It's what you do with it that matters. So they became patrons of the arts, of philosophy, of architecture. In doing so, they became the kingmakers of culture. They funded not just paintings and sculptures, but a new, audacious vision of what humanity could be. Before the Renaissance, art was almost exclusively a window into heaven. Its purpose was to tell biblical stories to a population that couldn't read, to inspire awe and devotion to God. But now something shifted. Art became a mirror held up to humanity itself. Look at Michelangelo's David. It's a biblical hero, yes, but it's also a celebration of the perfect human form, of human potential, of human courage. The Renaissance didn't deny God. It simply and radically insisted that humanity, too, was worthy of attention, of celebration, of study. Man was not just a flawed sinner waiting for the afterlife. He was a creator, an innovator, a work of art in his own right. But here is a truth that is rarely told in the grand, echoing halls of European museums. This explosion of creativity, this rediscovery of classical wisdom, was not a miracle that Europe conjured from nothing. It was not a virgin birth. It was a reunion. For centuries, while Europe was in its dark age, the knowledge of ancient Greece and Rome had been preserved, translated, and expanded upon in the great cities of the Islamic world. Ideas from Aristotle and Plato, from Euclid and Ptolemy, traveled through Baghdad, through Cordoba, through Cairo. Scholars there didn't just copy the old texts. They debated them, refined them, and built upon them, making incredible advances in mathematics, medicine, astronomy, and philosophy. Now, as trade routes reopened and connections were reestablished, this knowledge began to flow back into Europe, often through Spain and Italy. It returned transformed, enriched, and ready to ignite a continent. The Renaissance was the moment Europe was finally ready to receive this inheritance. And just as these old and new ideas were beginning to swirl, an invention appeared that would change the very architecture of human thought forever. The printing press. Before Johannes Gutenberg, books were precious, rare objects painstakingly copied by hand. Knowledge was a luxury controlled by the church and the elite. But Gutenberg didn't just print books, he democratized the word. Suddenly, ideas could be reproduced by the thousands. They could spread across mountains and borders with breathtaking speed without needing the permission of a priest or a king. For the first time in human history, knowledge could go viral. A single idea, printed in a pamphlet, could challenge an empire. The printing press was the engine of the Renaissance, and its fuel was information. This revolution didn't just transform art and communication. It reached for the heavens and challenged the very structure of the cosmos. For 1,000 years, the accepted truth was that the Earth was the center of everything, with the sun, moon, and stars revolving around it in perfect, heavenly spheres. This was not just a scientific model, it was a theological one. It affirmed humanity's special place in God's creation. Then, a man named Galileo Galilei turned his newly built telescope toward the night sky, and he saw things that no one was supposed to see. He saw mountains on the moon, proving it wasn't a perfect orb. He saw for new moons orbiting Jupiter, proving that not everything revolved around the Earth. He saw that the old maps of the universe were wrong. The implications were terrifying and exhilarating. If the church could be wrong about the heavens, what else could it be wrong about? The Earth was no longer the center of the universe. And by extension, the unquestioned authority of the old world was no longer the center of human life. The ground beneath everyone's feet, both literally and figuratively, had begun to shift. But rebirth always comes with rupture. Light always creates shadows. These new ideas were powerful, but they were never neutral. They liberated some, empowering artists, scientists, and thinkers to push the boundaries of what was possible. But they threatened others, undermining the foundations of religious and political power that had stood for a millennium. The Renaissance was an age of brilliant light, but it was also an age of brutal conflict, of inquisitions, and of wars fought over ideas. So the Renaissance was not just a historical period marked by pretty paintings. It was a fundamental turning point for humanity. It was the hinge on which the door to the modern world swung open. It's the story of how a civilization can seem utterly lost, fractured, darkened, and afraid, and yet find a way to rise again. It proved that progress is possible when we choose knowledge over fear, when we choose curiosity over certainty, when we choose to ask new questions instead of just accepting old answers. It reminded us that the defining human trait is our unquenchable desire to wonder, but every story has a next chapter. A reawakened, revitalized Europe, armed with new technology, new confidence, and a new map of the stars, now turns its gaze outward. What happens when the hunger for knowledge becomes a hunger for the world itself? What comes next when the ships that carried spices and silks now carry cannons and crosses? The age of rebirth was over. The age of discovery was about to begin. And the world would never be the same. Thanks for watching. If you're fascinated by the great turning points in history, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next chapter.